Hello and welcome to Talking Good Game. It just finished Brentford 2, West Ham United 0. Massive opportunity for the Hammers heading into this one after the defeats to Arsenal, Man United and Wolves earlier on in the weekend. But a huge win for Brentford and a big performance from them too. We're here to discuss the highlights and what possibly went wrong for West Ham. Gonzo, let's just skip straight to half-time. 0-0 at half-time. Obviously, we lost Zuma in the first half, but 0-0 at half-time. What were you thinking?
Thought it was pathetic. I thought it was awful. It's probably just easier to say I would probably that nobody played well, but I would probably make Fabianski, Rice, and Dawson, largely because he probably played for broken nose today, exempt from being totally pathetic. But by and large, I thought we were just awful. Awful, Geo. So at half time, I was hoping Moyes could say some words or do something. It was quite evident he had to make substitutions, and herein lies the problem. I didn't think he would make substitutions. I don't think he's got the bench there to make any substitutions. I don't think he has. But clearly, something needs to happen in central midfield. Hasn't really got anyone where he can do that. Half time, I was just absolutely gobsmacked at how little I thought, in particular, Lanzini, Bowen, and Antonio were able to threaten them. There was no threat. I mean, I think Souček had a header, which he might have hoped he might have scored from, well, maybe in last season or whatever when he was in top form. But aside from that, no threat. We just did not threat. Brentford were completely unconcerned by us today. At the end, the Brentford fans were singing, "Are you Chelsea in disguise?" They might as well have been singing, Are you the Rose and Crown in under 12s in disguise?" Because we just could not impact them at all.
I thought it was a different performance from us in the first half. I was trying to give us the benefit of the doubt at half time because I thought it was a very patient passing game from us, which is not something we usually do. Every time we got possession, we just knocked it around the middle and around at the back. And I genuinely thought it was part of our tactics because we're doing it that often. We lacked very little intent going forward. I actually thought, come the break, that Moyes wanted us to do that. That he almost didn't want us to cross the halfway line because we did it every single time we got the ball. And I gave us the benefit of the doubt because I thought, well, I'll see something different in the second half. I'll see what the first half was all about because we're going to do something different in the second half and justify what we've just seen in the first half. Obviously, that didn't come. So I was giving us the benefit of the doubt. But now, with hindsight, after seeing what I've seen in the second half, the first half wasn't that great, was it? I thought Sufal was doing well to stretch the pitch. We were getting the ball out to him quite well. He had one or two half-decent crosses, but that was it. I don't even remember Jared Bowen touching the ball in the first half. Antonio looked like he couldn't be arsed. Souček I was hoping to see him get forward a little bit more. Lanzini was pretty much playing as a third centre-back at times. He was having to go in between Dawson and Zuma to get the ball. Now, I don't mind that if it then moves into something, but it wasn't doing anything. It was going to Rice and back to Dawson. Obviously, we lost Zuma, which is a massive blow. I'm hoping it's just precautionary more than anything because he tried to play on, which was a bit of a nasty tackle from Norgard. It was a very unnecessary foul for him to do, a bit of a dirty tackle that. Dawson, as you said, looked like he played with a broken nose because he was seriously bothered for the first half. But we were just, it looked like we turned up in a training match, and I thought Brentford were enthusiastic. I thought we did all right to keep our arm's length. They thought they were the slightly better team and a busier team, but I thought we were doing okay in the first half because I was giving us the benefit of the doubt. You see some better tactics in the second half. But not to be Gonzo, after just 3 minutes after the restart, it was 1-0 Brentford.
Yeah, just terrible play. The throw-in, and it was a simple throw-in, but the throw-in came about because Diop jogged. Diop basically jogged towards the touchline with no urgency at all. He wasn't the only one who had no urgency today, but we're discussing the goals, we'll discuss him. And because he had no urgency, the next 2 seconds unfolded in a way that seemed to have been a surprise to him. He was like somebody that doesn't look 4 or 5 cars ahead when he's driving. It's just he only notices when the car in front puts its brakes on. He goes up, it's no, he perceived that anything was going to happen. And then he realised, oh my goodness, hold on, perhaps I better get a bit of a hurry up. He had terrible technique. He still had enough time for that not to go out as a throw-in, to actually wrap his foot around it and clear it up the pitch or whatever, or do something else other than throw-in. But his laziness or his lack of urgency cost us the throw-in. I don't know if he'd basically, as he was, I don't even know, you take bad Valium, whether smoking, sniffing it, whatever you do. But whatever he was, when he was taking his Valium, I don't know if he slipped Cresswell some and said, "Yeah, mate, have a bit of that." Because when the throw-in came in, Cresswell was, just looking around thinking, what on earth's going on here? The geezer got past him. Goal. Pathetic goal, actually. I've said pathetic many times in this review. I'm really annoyed by what I've seen today.
It's the first time they didn't do a long throw as well. We got proper mucked off. Usually they put the ball down, the geezer comes up, wipes the ball and throws it. But Diop's just so laid back, he gets caught out, so he has to put out for a throw-in. And then they just... The more you watch it, the worse it gets. I always say to you, show me a goal, show you a mistake. There's 3 or 4 players you can pick out here. And Diop's culpable twice. He always has an opportunity to recover his header, but doesn't. He stands still. We're all just statues. You see the ball get thrown to it, Ivan Toney, and Cresswell's just standing watching the ball. And he even notices Mbuemo run past him. And even then, he sort of only just starts to jog a little bit. He goes to run. Oh, I didn't quite get there. Fantastic finish from him. It was a really nice move by Brentford in the end, and a deserved lead at this point. But you just stood there, you sat there watching it, thinking, what on earth was just happened there? We've literally just switched off as a team. Everybody switched off. But there was no reaction. All the players just sort of went, oh, well, we're 1-0 down. What we're going to do? And the answer was, well, not much, because 20 minutes later, we were 2-0 down, Gonzo. And I think this goal's even worse. It's like... What the fuck's Antonio doing? I mean, he's had a bad game up until this point, right? But I can almost understand when he's in a 50-50 with a defender who doesn't win it, fine. But this is inexcusable. He's got the ball. He's got about 4 touches. There's 3 West Ham players running past him in opposite directions, all saying, here, give me the ball. And he doesn't. He stands there dwelling on the ball. And it's the easiest tackle the Brentford players had to make all that. He just has to toe poke it off Antonio's feet. And then you can see Souček's into Antonio. Well, get after it then. You've just lost it. I'm now ahead of you because I've ran up to support you. You're now going to have to get back and defend. And they just pass it down the left-hand side, essentially. Ball in, ball back in, and Ivan Toney knocks it. It looks so simple. It was almost like we weren't allowed to tackle them. It was like a training ground move at Brentford saying, listen, lads, we've got an important game, so no challenge or anything like that. Just let the attackers do their thing. It was a good goal by Brentford, but Christ almighty, that defending was just a shambles. It started with Antonio, but it finished with Ivan Toney just tapping it into essentially an empty net. Fabianski just jumped up and put his arm out rather than doing anything. But half the team for this one, team have just stood there and watched Brentford just run past us.
Yeah, absolutely. The trouble with Antonio today was, you were right when you said earlier, he didn't look like he could be asked. Now, I sort of get it, by the way, because he had to play that horrible role on his own for so long in the week, which brings us back to another debate, which we won't go into now. But so I thought you had the bit where he didn't look motivated. I also thought the thing there, he actually looked knackered as well, even in the first half before this happened. And there wasn't the sharpness as well. And he was making dumb decisions. I'm sorry, you can't put all those ingredients together into a footballer and expect anything decent to happen. And he was annoyed. I think he was annoyed with how crap he was, because he saw it near the end. Unfortunately, and it's not a case of I told you so, but anyone that had contact with me during the game will say, I tell you, it was just too late from Moyes. It was quite clear that Antonio, and I say quite clear, not with hindsight, because I said it during the game, was either going to get himself injured or make a massive mistake. And I said it 5 minutes before that. It was evident 5 minutes before. Moyes should have dealt with that. It was clear what was happening. The counter-attack happened. I thought, hello. Again, pinged it back to where Cresswell was. That was the right thing to do. A good move. Who was obviously out-jumped, although I didn't think he was tight enough anyway. Diop, again, was marking Toney at the point where the ball went to Cresswell. Diop's marking Toney, but Toney went and took 2 steps back from Diop. Diop didn't even notice. So now at this point, Toney's in between Diop and Dawson. Dawson's obviously not noticed what's happening because he's literally stood. I reckon he's just right, almost precisely in the middle of the two of them. So Dawson hasn't got a cross quickly enough to cover either Cresswell's mistake or Diop's mistake. He's had the header there. Not strong goalkeeping, and you get the goal there. I felt Soufal was possibly a little bit out of position when it came down that side, but again, I would allow him that because you have to. Soufal would have been thinking, well, we're on the attack. He wasn't. Nobody would have been expecting Antonio to not make a decision. Completely complete indecision from Antonio there. Do something. Okay, he's not going to do it. Okay, okay, we'll play it the other way. You've stopped it. You've tracked the ball. Play it the other way. I'm not going to do that. No. Well, I see. You're just going to stand there waiting until you're tackled and pass up the free opportunities that have just presented themselves. So I think Soufal wouldn't have expected that to happen necessarily. Terrible goal. The worst thing is, Gio, I want to give you a view of the goal now. Sorry to keep waffling for so long. I never felt after that there was any chance we'd score. I remember looking at it at 77 minutes thinking, and I'll be perfectly honest, thinking, right, there's no way West Ham are getting into this game now. I thought we got 77 minutes, got all this time until me and Gio sit down and dissect the review. I wonder how much we'll have lost by then.
Yeah, I don't disagree. We just never at the races today. I think it's our worst performance of the season, that, to be honest with you. That's not meaning to take anything. If you're Brentford fans, taking nothing away from your team. You deserve that win. You've played well today. And I think there's a big difference between the two teams. We'll get on to in a second. But Gonzo, finished 2-0. What did you make of the game overall, really?
No urgency from the team. No urgency from the manager. There was stuff that was apparent during the game that wasn't reacted to. I don't have the data. I don't have the data of the fitness and the stuff like that from the European game. I mean, he brought Benrahma on for Lanzini. I mean, it could have subbed anyone off, really, with the exception of maybe he couldn't have subbed Dawson off because there were no more centre backs left. Rice wasn't at his best today, but Rice was trying, and there was some effort there. Anyone else could have been substituted, really. I'm really disappointed about after that game was when it got to us said after 77 minutes, well, there's no way we can get back in there. We should be able to. There should be players on the bench, or Moy should have enough faith in somebody. I don't care, even if it was Perkins on the bench, just to run around as a striker and do something. Or why is Yarmolenko not? If he's on the bench, why is he not getting him involved? Where was Moyes' urgency? So from the team. So tell you what, we just never threatened. All right, we had one shot at the end, which, let's be fair, only really threatened because when Benrahma hit it, it flicked off the defender's back, and then the goalkeeper thought, oh. Aside from that, what was the impact from Vlasic? None. Just awful, Gio. Everyone was knackered. Why was Lanzini that knackered? I mean, I guess can't be fitness, and it must still be hurt or something. I don't know, but it just spread this lethargy and lack of urgency throughout the team. There was just so much was bad today.
I think with Soufal and Lanzini, I think there was probably an eagerness from Moyes to get them in the pitch ahead of Thursday night, really. I think he's probably trying to get them minutes under the belt so you can have a look at them ahead of Thursday night's game. But today was crap. From the first minute up until last, it was rubbish. Usually there's 2 or 3 players that play poorly and the rest play well enough in order to get us something out of the game and see us through. But there was none of that today, and it was just bad. The worst thing is we had sort of plan A today. It wasn't really working. So what did we do? We kept playing with plan A, hoping it would start working. Just never did. And that's the second time Brentford have done us over this season, and deservedly so in both games, in my opinion. They've been a better team in both games. And it goes back to what Ben Rodgers said. Everyone knows what West Ham's going to do. And it felt like that today. It felt like Brentford knew exactly what we were going to do today. They had our number. There was players that didn't turn up. But what was Jarrod Bowen suffering from his injury or what? Because I barely saw him at all. I thought Vlasic would give Rico Henry more of a game in that 10 minutes than Jarrod Bowen did in the hour mark before he got moved up front. But then this is the problem, isn't it? Moyes stood there and said, "Well, we didn't get a strike in January because Bowen is our backup plan." Well, we saw the backup plan today. It wasn't very good, was it? I'd almost get it if Bowen was playing well, and we thought, "Oh, we'll move on." But Bowen was playing just as poorly as Michail Antonio was on the right wing, and he thought, well, the solution is move him. No, he's just not playing well. It's not that he's getting done by Rico Henry. He's just not playing well. There was no threat there whatsoever from us. That Brentford defenders have gone in today thinking that was easy, weren't it? That's the Premier League. I'm all right. We'll cope in this next season at all. You're the Lyon manager. You're watching that rubbing your hands, thinking, crikey, I hope this West Ham turn up on Thursday night. I'll rest some of my players for that game. I think there was just far too much wrong. There wasn't much right there. And let's do individual performers. Obviously, we'll go into them a bit more in depth in the player ratings tomorrow on Patreon. So take a couple, because there's one guy in particular I'm going to pick on. It's a bit harsh, but I'm just going to do it because it's my honest opinion. But you can start.
Go on, pick on it.
Souček, again, I think Lanzini was very, very deep. But that works if there's something ahead of Lanzini. And I know Lanzini didn't play well. As I can see in the live chat, some people text me during the game saying that they thought he was doing rubbish. And I was watching him. And I wasn't saying he's playing well, but what I saw was somebody willing to get on the ball. He's dropping back, getting the ball, turning, he's trying to move forward. But the problem is, for Niles, who on paper is ahead of Lanzini on the pitch, he's like a left winger, if you like. But Niles is to the side of him. Souček's to the other side of him. He's only got Antonio miles ahead of him and Bowen right out on the right. He's got nothing in front of him. Then I watch Brentford, give it to Christian Eriksen, there's players moving. There you go. Christian's got the ball, move. He will find you. At one point, he got it from the goalkeeper. He just played it through two of our defenders, or two of our midfielders to another Brentford player. I can't, possibly Yanelt, I'm not sure. On the halfway line, gets it, looks up, sees Toney's run, gives it to him, and that's when Dawson and Fabianski cloud into each other. But it all comes from just Christian Eriksen getting the ball in that deep position and having options. And I know Lanzini was deep today, but so was Christian Eriksen. Christian Eriksen was deep today for Brentford. The difference is he's able to pull the strings because he's got movement ahead of him. He had three attackers, Wissa, Toney, and Mbuemo, all eager, all making movement, all linking up well together. We had none of that. And this goes back to Souček. I think if Lanzini's going to play deep, Souček has to go forward. We can't have him, Rice, and Souček sitting deep in there. We did that. All three of them today we barely got into their half. It was Norgaard's a defensive midfielder. The only tackle I saw Norgaard make is on flipping Kurt Zuma. He didn't have to do anything. There was no centre midfield for us. We didn't get anywhere near that Brentford defence whatsoever. So yes, Antonio played crap and Bowen didn't really get involved. But behind them, there was just nothing. There was no service to either of them whatsoever today. And I would like Moyes to have probably left Lanzini on, said, you know something, at least he's going to get on the ball and do something. Souček was just a passenger. I thought he was dreadful. And when he did get on the ball, it wasn't very good. There was easy passes that he was overhitting and putting out of play and stuff. And you just thought, oh, God. And I felt a bit sorry for him because he's the one player the fan base generally thought, don't play him today. He is going to be knackered. Leave him out. But again, we've put him in. We've ran him into the ground ahead of Thursday night. For what benefit? For what? Now we're going to have an entire Souček from the off against Lyon after battling last Thursday. Just frustrating. And I'm almost wanting to pick out somebody that's played well to counteract all the negativity, but there isn't one. I thought Dawson did all right, played on with an injury, but even he was ropey at times as well today. There's not much positivity here today, Gonzo.
No, and I've got to buy everything you said there is absolutely true. And there's no point me talking about Souček. She just had he was awful. He was I'm not a great one for, like some people say, I found that embarrassing. I'm not a great believer in being embarrassed by other people. I think you can embarrass yourself, but I'm not. Maybe the odd occasion when the start of X Factor's on and someone thinks they can sing at you, whatever, and they get booed off the stage, I find that a little bit cringy. But generally, I don't get embarrassed by what other people do. I'm quite good at embarrassing myself quite well enough about anyone else. But today I did find myself being embarrassed by a lot of what I saw, and Souček would certainly fall into that. And you start sort of watching it, metaphorically speaking, from behind the sofa, thinking, "Oh crikey, what's going to happen next? What's going to unfold in front of my eyes here?" The Antonio thing was a really tough watch for me today. I really needed him to be taken off earlier because it was causing me, it's making me cringe. It was causing me angst. It was making me feel bad, really, really bad. Because to see, I don't think anyone ever unless you say it wrongly, I don't think anyone ever likes to see anyone really struggle. Do you know what I mean? If you get them out of there. You know what I mean? Give him a break, get him out of there. He needed saving from himself there, Antonio, because what I witnessed was a gradual deterioration throughout the game until it got to the point. And I'm annoyed with Moyes for this. I'm really annoyed that there was no lack of urgency from the team, lack of urgency from him there. It was almost, oh my goodness, look at Antonio. Oh, he's really struggling. We better deal with this now. No, mate, that has been unfolding before your eyes right there. And as I said, it was either going to be either a massive mistake or an injury. That's what I said. To be fair, there was one other thing, or him getting himself sent off. One of those things, it was so bad. And even as Antonio walked off, his head was bowed, he was hunched over. Moyes tried to say sort of almost well done. You don't know what was said, but you read the body language. It was almost as if Moyes was trying to say, well done, good shift. Antonio was almost embarrassed to receive the congratulatory pat on the shoulder, as if to say, he knew it was bad. You cannot let, in a professional sporting team, something like that unfold, particularly when the rest of them aren't functioning. I say Lanzini wasn't able to offer a cutting edge. You've already mentioned Bowen. Fornals there. We had no cutting edge. Something had to go. And let's be perfectly fair here. In terms of attack, Benrahma's his second least favourite player, right? It's only Vlasic that's more unpopular, probably, under David Moyes. Because you saw that, because he wasn't happy with what he saw. He's the first person to get hooked against Olympique Lyonnais. And for David Moyes to think what was going to reinvigorate the attack was Benrahma coming on. He needed more than that. And of course he did put Vlasic on, but it just went to show. I just think almost everyone let everyone down today. I bet that's and the trouble is, you asked me beforehand, I can't remember what you asked me, but I'll tell you what my answer was, that we needed this win because we needed to lift our spirits and go in to the Lyon game with a spring in our step. I bet that dressing room was a horrible place to be afterwards. I bet there was a lot of heads bowed. I bet a lot of people were embarrassed. And that is not a good mindset and not a good mentality to spend the next 2 or 3 days training before you fly out to France.
I think today's a bit of another one of those reminders of the January transfer window. I know people say stop going on about it. I'm not going to stop going on about it because there's 2 teams. We've just played one of them, Brentford. Their January signing, Christian Eriksen, ran the game today. I know he didn't score. I know the Toney and Mbuemo will get the credit, and rightly so. I thought Christian Eriksen took the piss out of our midfield, quite frankly. I think he looked better than Declan Rice. I think Declan Rice looked lazy at times today. I think Souček was missing. I thought Lanzini struggled. Christian Eriksen just oozed class. 4 starts, 4 wins for him at Brentford now. Oozed class. Then you will have to look over at North London. Bentancur, Kulusevski's gone in. There's Tottenham steamrolling on their way to 4. 2 clubs with different signings they made in January transfer window. It just goes to show what happens when you invest. We've done nothing. Now, this is where you can't have it both ways. Do we blame today on fatigue? Well, I'll be interested to see if David Moyes does. I don't think we can. It's only the 3rd game after the international break. I think it's too soon to be pointing to fatigue. Likes of Liverpool have been coping with playing Champions League, Premier League, and stuff. Yes, okay, Klopp moans about fatigue and that, but they seem to be doing all right with results. And I know you'll say, well, they've got world-class players, but we've got better players in Brentford. I know we've got beat today. They were the better team. They deserve to win. But in terms of individual player, oh come on, we have got better players than Brentford. They just got their tactics right today. They turned up today. They had the right attitude. We did it. We were stinky. They were good. But in terms of ability, we have got a better squad. There's a reason we're 6th in the Premier League going into this game. So I'm not having the fatigue as the excuse thing. But if we are going to use fatigue as the excuse, then this is where you go back to January and say, well, why have you done nothing? And you go back to the starting lineup today and say, well, why have you played that team? Why have you not made more changes, which would suggest that you were concerned about fatigue? His starting 11 would suggest that Moyes wasn't worried about fatigue and he thought the players were okay. So therefore, that performance today isn't due to tiredness off the back of Thursday. Or if it is, it's negligence by the manager. He's almost ignored the warning signs, if you like, and put it out anyway. But it's just a horrible performance, a huge opportunity that we had going in today. And over the weekend, I was getting excited watching these teams, Wolves, Man U and Arsenal get beat. I was getting excited. Do you know something today? I'm just bloody grateful they got beat, so we haven't lost any ground. Yes, okay, Tottenham won, but I think they're out of the picture anyway. So while we've lost, we haven't lost any points to that. We're all on the same points essentially in terms of difference going forward. That is the only saving grace. It's not really a good one. What's the most positive thing about West Ham this weekend? The other teams got beat as well. It's not a good thing, is it? Anyway, what's your final words?
I can't be asked, mate. I'm go and make some dinner and watch the Liverpool and City game, and I would discuss it in the Patreon player ratings tomorrow, because I've got the right arm. Honestly, it was an opportunity, massive opportunity today. I would have, you know what, 2-2 or even a 2-1 loss where we really tried or something. But that was a massive opportunity. I said before the game, the management will recognise it as a massive opportunity. The players will recognise it as a massive opportunity. Didn't seem like that.
I was going to say, when you said we're lacking cutting edge, to some extent, I'm okay with that. I could accept that some games we are going to lack cutting edge, as long as the rest of it's there, as long as the work ethic's there, the organisation's there, the determination's there. We had none of that today. Brentford beat us in every single element of that game. Who wanted it more? Brentford. Who were the better team? Brentford. Who were the more organised team? Brentford. Who did the better substitutions? Brentford. They'd done better than us. Everything, and that's disappointing, because when we did the ratings for the Lyon game, and I gave Moyes a high mark, and you went, "Whoa, that's quite high." And I said to you, because of our team spirit, that's what's got us the point against Lyon in the end. There was none of that today, absolutely none of it. You would think that we were a team down the bottom of the Premier League, going by that lack of fight out there in the pitch, and it's disappointing. But it's also bloody concerning with the European game up ahead. And if I know some people will suggest maybe the players had one eye on that game. I'll tell you what, if they did, that's the wrong thing completely. I don't like that. If the players are almost picking and choosing as to when they're going to turn up, you've got to turn up for every single game. And games like this is the reason. And we might not have games like Thursday next season. Not good enough. Anyway, if you've somehow enjoyed this review, drop a like on it, subscribe to the channel. You leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'll be back later this evening, take a look at what you guys are saying, get a little bit interactive with you as well. But myself and Gonzo, we're going to disappear. I'll catch you in a bit.